This instructional companion, which is a continuation of wheel dynamics, falls under the major topic, Dynamics and Vibrations, which contains the following 5 chapters, and we're going to be in chapter on kinetics, which is really just a formal name for dynamics. And in the chapter on kinetics, we'll be looking at, of course, the motion of rigid bodies, and constrained motion is where the MERM has some discussion on rolling wheels, although they're rolling down an incline, which is much harder than what we're talking about here, but it doesn't really show the kinetics of the actual rolling wheel. So we're going to do that. In the previous Wheel Dynamics 1, we reviewed the kinematics of the rolling wheel. That's really what we're talking about, is a rolling wheel. Both the velocity, where the no-slip condition gives us that the velocity at the center of the wheel is r times the angular velocity, and from acceleration, while the point Q down here has a tangential acceleration that's 0 that yields the acceleration is equal to r alpha, there is an acceleration r omega squared upward or towards the center of rotation. So we reviewed that. Of course, those two are discussed in separate instructional companions themselves. Then we looked at the 2 possible type wheels. One is a drive wheel, like the front wheel drive, front wheel of a front wheel drive car, or rear wheel of a rear wheel drive car. And then the other was the push-pull wheel, either the rear wheel of a front wheel drive car or the front wheels pushing from a rear wheel drive. And we looked at the free body diagrams, in which we noted that the friction force is to the right to produce the translational acceleration for the drive wheel, and the torque is creating the rotational acceleration, whereas for the push-pull, the applied force P is creating the translational, but the friction is now reversed from what it is up here in order to produce the angular acceleration. So very, very interesting. Now, in the last instructional companion, we did the equations of motion and came up with equations for the acceleration of the center of gravity, the angular acceleration, and the friction force. And I'm going to summarize those on the next page. And then we're going to do the same thing for the push-pull wheel. So, summarizing what we found for the drive wheel, which is essentially being driven by this torque T. It's a couple, and you would know that answer. Well, the acceleration of C is just that torque divided by the sum of 2 terms. The moment of inertia, solid, that's the chapter 1 in this particular section, Dynamics and Vibrations, divided by the radius r, and then you've got r times the weight of the wheel, W divided by gravity, so W over G is really the mass. So if it's a metric system problem, they may, or SI system, they may give you the mass in kilograms. Once you know that, just calculate the acceleration of C, then divide by r to get the alpha. Then the friction force is really W over G times the acceleration, and it is not equal to mu S N, and of course in this case N is equal to W. That'll be answer A, and you have gotten that one wrong. Okay. However, if you do set mu Sn or mu Sw equal to W over G, you get a maximum value for the acceleration, which is mu Sg. Okay? So all 4 of those are ones that you can just have somewhere. You don't have to do any derivations. You're ready to go and get that problem if it's on the PE. Well, now let's look at the other possibility, the push-pull wheel. Okay, the free body diagram that we showed in the previous instructional companion for the push-pull wheel had, of course, W down and N up towards the center of gravity. Of course, you've got your P, which you would know, the radius R, and now again the friction force is to the left to cause the rotational motion. So let's do the equations of motion. Let's do, as we did before, let's do the sum of the forces first. So as before, we've got sum of the forces in x equals mass times acceleration in x. Well, the forces, we've got P to the right. Now friction force is back to the left. Mass times acceleration. And again, for reasons as you'll see, I've made mass W over G times the acceleration of C. That's our first equation. So we're doing exactly the same steps that we did for the drive wheel. I hope you're seeing that. So in case you want to look at some other problem, you apply it same way. Sum of the forces in y, of course, our coordinate system, our x, y, and we're going to make again the moment positive because we got rotation clockwise. Okay, and some of the forces in y, well, again, we got translation along horizontal, so that's 0, so we get n minus w, or w, n is equal to w. So let's do the rotation, and again, as we did with the other, the only valid point to me is the center of the wheel, so let's take moments about that point. So when you take moments about point C, then W, P, and N all go through. So the only force you don't have there is RF times R times F of F. And so that's your only moment, and then that's equal to IC alpha. So now you're left with the three equations that we had before: the friction force, the A sub C, AC, and then alpha. So we need another equation, because really the second equation is just N equals W. So the kinematics, again, you do that last. It took me a long time to learn to do that. And we know what we want to do is relate A sub C and alpha. Well, we know that from our kinematics that AC is equal to R alpha, and that would be our equation number 4. Okay, so we're similar situation. So what we need to do is solve for A sub C, and I'll do that here, save some YouTube time. Okay, again, we're looking for A sub C. Well, we can take the alpha that we know is equal to AC over R and put that into equation number 3 and solve for F of F. So I did that. RF of F, the friction force, is IC times AC over R. Solve for F of F, and so one of this R comes over. This R here goes down to the bottom. We've got IC over R squared times A sub C. And of course, when you're doing algebra, think about units. What might happen? I is mass feet squared, or mass length squared divided by length. So therefore, essentially, this IC over R squared is a mass term. That's mass times acceleration. So, okay, warm fuzzies there. Well, we're going to now take this F of F and put it up here into equation 1 and see what happens there. Okay, so again, saving YouTube time, 1 becomes now P minus F of F. Well, that's the IC over R squared times A sub C equals W over G times A sub C. So now what we can do is solve for A sub C. We can take this term over to the right, collect terms, and rearrange like we did for the previous instructional companion. So we'll do that on the next page. Okay, as we mentioned, we took from the previous page, we took the minus term on the left and brought it to the right, collected terms in AC. Now we can solve for A sub C, and in doing that, I'm going to switch these two terms so they look like the terms for the drive wheel answer. Okay, say the other one had the I term first and the W over G term second, so it now looks like it. And again, once we calculate that, again, P would be known, I sub C would be known, R would be known, W over G, which is mass, would be known. And so you just come out with an answer for A sub C, and then you need alpha. Well, that's just going to be that A sub C divided by the R. Okay, so you're fine there. What about the friction force? Of course, we've already come up with the friction force term on the previous page, IC over R squared times A sub C, AC. Again, we would know that from this calculation here, but remember, this does not equal mu S N, okay? If you do that, that'll be answer A, okay? It needs to be, that friction force needs to be less than mu S N, and of course, N is equal to W here. Now, of course, like we did in the previous one, we could say, well, what is the maximum? The maximum friction force is mu S N. That's equal to W, and that would give us a value for AC max. So let's do that to be consistent. Okay, so again, the maximum value for the friction force is mu S N. In this particular problem, N is equal to W. So you have mu S W equals IC over R squared. The maximum value for the AC, which you now can solve, and it's not as simple as the other one. The other was simply mu SG. This is a little bit more complicated. Okay, so the maximum comes out to be the mu S times W R squared over I sub C. And remember again, if I brought the R squared down below, that would be a mass. IC over R squared is a mass. Mass into W is equal to an acceleration. So has good units there. Okay, but again, not as simple as the other one. Okay, well, let's kind of put these side by side or summarize now. Okay, summarizing our answers like we did with the drive wheel, we've got the acceleration. Again, is just a term you can calculate because you'll be given P, you're given the I, the R, the W, and the G, so calculate it, then divide by R to get the alpha. Use it in this equation, A sub C, to get the friction force, which is not equal to mu Sn. It better be less than. If it's not less than, then it's slipping, and so now it's mu Kn. And then the acceleration, the maximum acceleration you can get out of this is mu S times W R squared over I sub C. So we've got both of those sets there. Well, at this particular point, someone probably will say, and rightly so, is you've got this expression for the acceleration of, let's say, the front wheel of a front-wheel drive car, and you've got this expression for AC for the rear wheel of a front-wheel drive car. Well, if they're going to stay together, the accelerations better be the same, so what can we do about finding some relationship between the torque T and the push-pull force P? Well, that's interesting, so let's do that on the next page. Okay, so setting the ACs that we have from the two derivations equal to each other. We've got T over those two terms. You can now see why I wanted to order them the same way. We can make the denominator look the same by multiplying. You don't hurt any equation by multiplying by 1. So if we multiply numerator and denominator by R on the right-hand side, you will end up with, let's write that out, save some YouTube time though. Okay, so in the numerator you've got P times R, and the denominator, this R cancels one of those, so it looks like that. We've got RW over G, so we have the same denominators. Okay, so that tells us something quite simple, is just the torque is equal to P times R. So if you know one, you know the other. Isn't that interesting? Well, it's nice and simple, nice ribbon to have tied around this particular set of two instructional companions, okay, to get you through at least the basics of the rolling wheel dynamics to go with the rolling wheel kinematics. There's lots of other problems that we can work and will do in the future. I've got some kind of ready to go, but got other ones that I think are more important to get done right at this particular minute. But this gets at least a good stopping point here on these two very important rolling wheel problems. Okay. Again, I invite you to visit my website as part of your exam preparation.